Hello, so I'm Parisut Kimkool.
And I'm Rakhee Vaja.
And so 2 years ago, we set up an endocrinology society in our university. And just a bit about us now. So I'm currently an FY1 at Lister Hospital doing urology.
And I'm also a FY1 at Bromley Hospital doing general surgery.
So today in our talk, we'll talk to you about our society, why we set it up, what events we've done, what we've learned from it, and also how you can set a society up as well.
Okay, so a bit about why we started it. So initially, obviously, we were interested in endocrinology from the offset, and as medical students, there was some opportunity to get involved in the endocrine firm, but it wasn't too much, and so we just thought we should find a way to try and integrate it a bit more into our medical school lives. And just asking around the other medical students, we found that was the general feeling, and that other people would be interested in attending any events that we hosted. So we thought that we should go ahead and just start it up. And
so we found a group of people who were equally as interested in setting up an endocrinology society and are interested in endocrinology or diabetes as well. So we set up a committee with them, and we made sure that we had someone from each year group. So we had someone from stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 of our clinical school to make sure that when we do advertise our events, we can infiltrate all the year groups. So here's the 8 of us who founded the committee.
Okay, so we started with the launch event. The launch event was really well attended. We had over 50 people coming, and the way we set it up was there were 4 speakers, invited speakers, endocrinologists from our hospital, who came in and just gave a taster of their subspecialty. And it was really interesting. And as you can see, we lured people in with free lunch.
So these are our next 2 events. They're very different from each other. One is quite kind of basic science or clinical research, and the other is more clinical. So the talk on the left side, so that's by Professor Faruqi, which many of you might know, and that attracted a very large audience because, she's quite, I guess, popular in our university as well. And that was very popular. It was a joint talk with the Neurological Society, and we had the whole room was filled, and we had to bring chairs from elsewhere, and people were just standing against the walls. It was really good. And the next one was a clinical talk, and it showed kind of endocrinology in obstetrics and gynecology. And that was by Dr. McDougall, who's a fertility expert in our university.
Okay, so our next event was a debate, which was really interesting. We gathered together 2 teams of students, and we debated on the topic of diabetic control in patients for surgery. So it's a bit like the obesity debate around surgery, but it was really well attended because we invited all the doctors from the hospital, and there was an endocrinologist mentoring each team. A winning team was chosen as well.
This was our last talk of that year that we were committee for, and it was by Dr. Rachel Williams, and it was on pediatric endocrinology. She is the pediatric examiner for our university, so it was very well attended. More than 100 people came. It was really, really good. And the best thing about it was, at the end, lots of people came up to us to ask how they can be involved and apply to be a committee member in the next year. So it was really good.
Okay, so aside from all the events that we hosted, we also offered support to the students via other means. So as you know, we have to do SSE's projects as students, so we offered to put students in touch with the doctors and professors to help them get endocrinology-related projects. We also encouraged people to become members of the SfE as well, and also advertised that there were clinical cases in London because there were registrars and medical students who attended.
So what did we learn from this whole experience? So firstly, we got to know more about endocrinology in different specialities as well. For example, getting obstetrician gynae in, And that meant that we learned more about rare conditions that maybe were not in our lectures, but also learning more about management of more common conditions as well. We managed to hone our organisation skills, which turned out to be very important as an FY1, and also learning how to manage different events. For example, in an event, you have to get catering, get finance, get the speaker, do publicity. So that was actually a really good experience to get to do. Communications and liaison, so not just with other medical students or doctors, but also with, for example, catering or sponsorship or room booking as well. So just talking to lots of different people and knowing, when to get in touch with them, how to get in touch with them. And lastly, financial planning. So we were given kind of a lump sum sponsorship, but how to split it equally between each event and make sure that we had enough to carry out for the whole year.
Okay, so we've spoken about what we did and what we learnt, but why should you, as medical students, or as medical students start a society, or as supervisors encourage the students to do so? So it's actually been a really good experience finding like-minded students, so we can actually discuss how we're going to encourage the specialty and why we're interested. It's also been a good experience to get to know our hospital doctors, our local endocrinologists, and network with them as well, so to get involved in research and be kept up to date about what research they're doing. And also it's obviously CV points as well. I mean, just as we've just been through the foundation application, and it was something that we could put down, and it's a way that we could really demonstrate that we can communicate, and we can, I mean, we all can, but at least we can demonstrate that we've actually put it to good use as well.
So starting a society might seem quite daunting, but it was actually quite smooth, I thought. So just some top tips that we did. So firstly, find a committee. So either, just talking around and seeing who else would be interested in endocrinology and in setting a society with you, or alternatively, obviously, sending out an email and then getting applications in. Finding a senior treasurer chairman, I guess a bit like finding a mentor as well, is very important. So we had Dr. Tony Cole in Cambridge help us out, and it was really, really good. And I think because of his help, we managed to get this far. Thirdly, making sure the society is official. So for us, we had to register with our junior proctors, fill in a few forms, and then send it off. Fourthly, getting sponsorship. So for us, we emailed MDU, MPS, and Wesleyan Medical Sickness, and they were very helpful in helping sponsor our events. And the last two go hand in hand, making sure that you publicize all your events really well, and also making everyone know that your society is new and is upcoming. And I think our launch event was really useful for that.
Okay, so some ideas. So the way we got inspiration for our events was just asking our medical student colleagues what they want to hear about, and also asking the endocrinologists what they would like to speak about. So we had our endocrinologists as guest speakers, and we also considered inviting people from other universities as well. So you can also have events based around opportunities for audits and research, and that went hand in hand with our SSEs that we had to do, as I mentioned before.
So joint talks, for example, the one that we did with the Neurological Society, and very interestingly, so we've now moved on to become an FY1, but I hear from the current committee that Pediatric and the LGBT Society have actually approached Endocrinology Society to see whether they could do a talk on sexual transitions in children and adults, which I think should be a really good talk, actually. So clinical cases as well. So that was in London. In our year, we had 4 free spaces that people could apply for. And we had a registrar, I think it was Ben Chalice, who went there to present, and he won a prize there as well. So I thought the 4 medical students who went found that it was really kind of like he was an idol to them, I guess, and made them really interested in endocrinology more. And lastly, mini conferences. So in our uni, the Neurological and Pediatric Society both have a national annual conference for medical students, and it works really well. It attracts people from everywhere, and the talks are really superb. So if there could be one for endocrinology, that would be really, really good as well.
Okay,
So yeah,
thank
you.
For listening.